Got my little kitty cat. Come here. That kitty cat. He's my little guy. Huh. He came on Halloween, All Hallows Eve. He's a sweetheart. Okay. Let's see what the energies of today look like. So we're coming into this week that is for many the gratitude celebrations. And we start to move into, the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. When we're doing our spiritual practice during this time, I feel like it's an important counter element. Welcome. To be super present in our bodies and with our practices to kind of counteract some of the, let's say, the negative field that's generated by the holiday field. Because there's a lot of really good energy cosmically right now, like this time of year. Like we just entered Sagittarius, which is my birthday month, and it's a really amazing galactic energy, but and I'm not saying like the holiday energy isn't great, but that can sometimes cloud over this super amazing cosmic energy, which really wants you to reach for higher knowing and really wants you to have deeper wisdom and to go beyond your comfort zone. And it's interesting that the holiday commercial kind of programmed way of being wants to kind of keep us in a same setting, a same box. Like, don't go beyond this box because this is what this holiday is, and we kind of stick to that in our mind, and it actually really traps our consciousness from accessing the full Sagittarian energy that's available. So let your mantra practice, if you're traveling the 40 days with me and you're doing 40-day mantra, let your 40-day practice really like move into your field and cancel out any of those subconscious frequencies. Oh, December 5th, happy birthday. Yeah, Sagittarius time is really potent. I'm happy to see you here. Okay, so I'm shuffling for the card, the tarot card today. Wow, we got the Death card. So I've been feeling this one coming on in longer spreads. And the Death card is a good card. Like it can be a scary card to some people, but it does denote a shedding, a transformation, a death to the old, a dying to the old ways. And of course it can signify actual deaths. It does bring our attention to the deaths that we're seeing in the world right now, that I believe would be unnecessary were it not that they were part of the waking up process for humanity. So I just want to take a moment to honor those who are choosing to leave their bodies during this time to assist in this planetary waking up, because humans hold a collective vision, right? A collective energy, a collective awareness. And I don't know if you've had the experience of somebody close dying, somebody close to you dying, but when they do, right, you can feel their energy return to you and to the space around you. It's really a beautiful thing, like they're able to spread some of what they were reaching for, or I don't know how else to describe it. That's how I feel it is. They release something back to the collective. And so I know right now that there are many souls who have signed up to cross over right now, and by doing so, grab part of the veil and pull it back with their whole being. And so, we can call them whatever they want, we want, and of course many of them are, it feels like a very it's never not sad when we lose someone, right? And for the people that are here. But the death card does ask us to acknowledge death as a transformative process, as a veil, a crossing that needs to occur in order to get to the next level. And it is by walking the death trail, so to speak, that we access life fully. And of course, the soul knows death is an illusion, that our soul never dies. We are eternal beings. We may die to a specific experience. We may die to the experience of planet Earth, but many of us are here to die without dying, to live our lives where we are able to face and go through many little deaths, some call it, many deaths within a lifetime, which is really where you allow for the process of shedding. You don't resist when things are wanting to change and transform. Those are the mini deaths. Those are the times at which what we were alive to is, like we got the Tower card yesterday, right? Controlled demolition. Things are closing down in the old cycle. Ways are dying. Structures are dying. Collective matrices, mindsets, webs, these are all collapsing, like with the Tower. So with that comes a death in a cycle, in a way of being and thinking, sometimes in relationships, sometimes with jobs, and of course within relationships we actually always have many deaths. And this is something I need to take a green drink for. Take a pause. If you're doing 40 days with me, I recommend that you pick a specific supplement that is, for me it's like a greens and ormus, to enhance your system and support your consciousness. Okay. This death journey, it's speaking a lot right now. You know, like I'm in Arizona, it's warm here. I moved here specifically. Some of you are in India or other places where it is warm, but in much of the world there is the death process going on in nature, with winter happening and the energy moving toward winter. And the winter solstice on December 21st, which is also my birthday, and the end point for the 40 days that I'm doing here, there is this shedding of the previous cycle. There is literally like animals are hibernating, there's a deep freeze. There's this, what you would call in the runes, the Isa, the still, the waiting point. And there's no movement in that. And even in ourselves, when we go through a death process, sometimes we hit a place where it feels like nothing is happening. There's a stillness, there's a waiting point. There's really nothing you can do to change what's happening because the change has already taken place. The death process is in full effect. And all we can do as humans when this happens to us, whether that's in littler or bigger ways, is to surrender. And I'm getting pull the crystal cards so we know like how that wants to look right now. What is the best supporter for this death process for us right now? So interesting. Rhodozite. So, interestingly, rhodozite is a crystal. It's a reddish, purplish stone, and it is very activating to the Kundalini energy. So the surrendering suddenly doesn't feel like a totally peaceful surrender. It's not the final death, so to speak, the death process that we're in right now. It is simply preparatory to the next phase of the cycle that is coming forward. And so The rhodozite is speaking about our kundalini, our life force energy that is being activated to a new degree. And what we're actually dying to is the unawake self. That's what this tells me. We're dying to the unawake self. And, some of us have woken up to humanity, but there are so many layers of waking up. It's actually, it's limitless. So if we ever get stuck feeling like we know it all, or we made it, or we're enlightened, or we're the woke ones, or we're the awakened ones, that is also a load of crap. Like, there are layers we can know, and of course we can help one another on that journey. And the only reason the reason why I do what I do is because I have been through so many layers in my life, like almost like to the point where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going through so many layers. And so I want to turn around and share what I have excavated along the way in this journey of consciousness, in hopes that someone that is traveling behind me can be served by these things, can be assisted by these things, and not have to experience the complete wandering in the darkness that I have, although that is a necessary part of the journey too, to sometimes be completely in the unknown, even when someone's supporting you in that process, which feels really good and validating. It doesn't take away the feeling of the unknown. Like, even if you have a reading, which I do with people, you can know something. But generally, you just get a validation of what you deeply already intuitively know, which is, I got to keep going this way, because all these elements are lined up, and I have a good sense of that. I just sometimes don't trust myself or believe in myself. That's something that all of us feel, I think. So I just want to read from this crystal oracle book about the rhodozite to get a little bit more insight. It's called the Stone of Mighty Power. It's associated with the Earth Star Chakra, the solar plexus, and the causal vortex. There's the void for you. Let's go through the causal vortex. So this is an excellent stone for removing blockages and adding vitality to the physical body. It encourages the flow of Kundalini energy to all the cells and the spaces in between. So, wow, I just got the hit. Like, we're in a massive die-off period. And I want to prepare some of you for what that looks like in a human way, because I didn't really mean that about humans, but that is also a reflection. So I'm putting together a course on the biology of Kundalini, because I'm reading a book right now on that subject, and it is so filling in so many gaps for me as far as what happens when we awaken. Basically, it's not just a spiritual experience. Everything spiritual has a physical component. Everything spiritual can be stepped down, and is and must be stepped down into our vessels. Like, it's not just in our mind, it's not just in our consciousness, it's in our bodies too. So the awakening and the enlightenment process, or whatever you want to call it, this transformation, it's actually a human biological evolutionary process, the quickening that is happening to humanity right now, transforms every cell. We receive new hormones in the body, and some call God hormones, but they are upgraded versions of our hormones, and they tell our body how to handle and how to process this influx of light and frequency, and they support our DNA in unwinding further to reveal our deeper gifts, and things that we came to this earth to express, which have been lying dormant in us. Time coded for this time, not by accident. Everything you've gone through up to this point is completely perfect and in alignment with your path. I do believe we all have wise souls, like hovering above us in the background, or in the larger version of us, that are completely connected to source, are completely like one in full consciousness with the God energy, with infinite Father, Mother, God, with that source of love that is always guiding us. And so what's happening right now, biologically, in our bodies is as we wake up, and this has to do with so many parts, but we'll just talk about a few right now. But as we wake up to a new reality, which no one can escape right now, globally, everyone's in a new reality than 2 years ago. Everyone. Regardless of country, age, religion, race, any of that stuff. We are all, as humans, in a completely different world, and we can agree on that. So that means our perspective has been completely altered, and we all of us see more. Even the ones that we say are still asleep, we still see more than we did 2 years ago. There has been and there is an ongoing planetary awakening of humanity. And so when that happens, we actually have to create new neural pathways in order to process what we're seeing and taking in. We slough off old ones that like did the dance and the habit of the old world, okay? All of that is being sloughed off, and it actually goes through our bloodstream for release. And it's tied to memories, okay? So our cells, each one carries some sort of frequency or memory. So when we slough off this old neurotransmitters, these old ways of believing that had a physical component in our brain, even the one that said what it said before, like no one ever was really thinking about a mask before all this happened, maybe at Halloween or something. But that was just not a word in the collective. We didn't really have to have the brain connection we need now to deal with that reality, no matter what side of the page that you're on. So think about all the different beliefs and all the different ways that have sloughed off. Okay, this is what Jonna Dixon in the Biology of Kundalini book talks about as a die-off. So there is a die-off, and we don't feel that great when that happens because there's associated hormones with those old cells. So we feel it in our bloodstream, and it can make us feel depressed or anxious or sick or any number of things, and we can attach that to something in the old paradigm, death, disease, illness realm. Or if we know about it, we can go, this is me releasing old beliefs and I'm having an awakening. Like that's part of it. So today's card and association, especially with the rhodozite, is really saying, look, there is a massive Kundalini awakening. Kundalini means life force, means love, means God. Please don't get caught up on the word and type below that it's some evil thing. Like, it is our connection to source, whatever name you want to give it. And there is a collective new energy coming in, new era, new frequency. Even the sun itself is participating in, it's got all these giant solar flares right now. Like, you don't have to think that affects your consciousness. It totally affects our consciousness. It affects the way that we think. It causes things to flare up from under the surface in our relationships, in our collective. So as this is doing, I just want to say, like, there is a collective die-off within us and in the world. And certain people volunteered to be that sloughing off for humanity. And like I said earlier, pull the veil back for everyone else. I personally have a couple of people on the other side that are doing that work that I know personally, that I could feel when they left that they were veil pullers. And holding work by crossing over. excuse me. But this too, like our ability to cry with each other, and even the fact that I would say, excuse me, for what? For showing my like raw emotional self with you? You know, this is also something that's part of the new, that we must die to, this like thinking we need to hide ourselves from each other, like thinking we can't be real and show our hearts and share the real emotions, because that's really what makes us human and divine. And we've been taught to like go through life not showing that, being afraid to show that, hiding that part, blocking that part, and showing some sort of false persona that is based on what we think each other wants. We're trying to be who that other person needs me to be, when authentic living comes when we can just be ourselves, be the emotions. Thank you, Savinda. Like when we can show that, that's our heart, you know, like that's my heart coming out. That's my love leaking out. And like that's for all of us. That's the vulnerable self that can feel and is waking up and needs to see that they're not alone in this and that it's okay. And we all actually need to have a really big cry, like a lot, while we're going through this. We need to cry, we need to purge, we need to let it flow, because that actually helps our body with this die-off. It helps the sloughing, it helps the life force move. It actually opens the heart. It is the best heart opening thing. And when we want to progress, when we want to get closer to something, we have to release. So we have to allow the flow of emotion. We have to let it through and honor that too. And society has really frowned upon our emotions, especially crying and tears, and that most people don't really know how to handle it. You know, and women are called crazy all the time for crying, just simply crying. And it's such a basic human release mechanism. It's so important. And it actually does like allow old stuff to leave. So if you're holding on to things, or you feel like things are not moving like you'd like, for one, jump on and do the 40-day vision quest with me. And I'll give you instructions on that in a moment. But also just have a good cry. You know, like if you have to find a really sad movie to cry, or go somewhere where you feel really alone and you feel like safe unfolding like that, whatever you have to do. Or you can get on the phone with me, because that's what I do in sessions, is hold that space. If that needs to come through, then it really often does. So this 40-day journey, if you want to jump on, I'm offering it free now while I'm just launching my new app. So you would just go online to blissme.passion.io. I know that's long. I'll try to put that below. But that's blissme.passion.io. That's the web link to get you in to get on the app, okay? That's where you can find and access the 40-day vision quest, the Love and Life Force Activate journey that I'm taking people on right now. We're on day 13. You can start at day 1 on the app. It doesn't matter. Or you can jump in the day that we're at, and we're going up to the solstice with these daily lives, activating that connection with our life force, activating connection with our heart center, daily mantra, daily physical practice. And I'm weaving in there the alchemical sequence of relationship alchemy as well in the morning meditations. So we're going through an alchemical journey to reunite the inner masculine feminine. And this is the yantra that we're working with, the Sri Yantra. So I'm aware that we're in a new creation cycle, and that is why I chose the mantra that I did and this yantra. And this all is very validating with the Tower yesterday and the Death card today, that we are in the ending of an era. We are in the changing of the guards, the ending of a cycle. And we are in the beginning, though, of a new cycle, a new burst of life force energy, a new song of the universe, a new construction, something new. And it's going to be birthed by all of us. All of us are birthing it. It's coming through every single one of us, this new creation. It's not something we're waiting around and watching outside of ourselves for. It's coming through us. It's coming as us. Love is piercing each of our hearts, bursting through, causing us to melt down like the butterfly in the cocoon and go through a transformation. So I'm here as a guide. That's what I do. It's such a sacred journey to me. I've known that this is my purpose for the past 20 plus years, helping people go through empowerment and change in their life. So it's my deep honor to hold that space, which often is the death crossing space. And yeah, I'm just so grateful and honored to be here. So if you want to jump on with me or just catch me every morning here, I'm at 6 a.m. Pacific time doing your morning vision quest up to the solstice. So it is my honor and my just joy to be here and to do this, no matter who is here. Where two or more are gathered, I know the energy flows even stronger onto the planet. So thank you for being here and sharing your presence with me. Okay, and until next time.